The woman they tried to forget. Part 1: Elena's story. There are promises that sound like lifelines. And there are silences that feel like graves. Elena learned both in the same year, learned them the way you learn the shape of loss, not all at once but in small erasures. Each one taking a piece of you until you look in the mirror and don't recognize who's left. She had believed in words once. In the steadiness of a man's hand holding hers at a funeral. His voice rough with grief but clear with conviction, "You're still family. We'll take care of you." She had clung to those words like a rope thrown into dark water. But promises without action are just another version of abandonment. Part 1: Elena's story. Elena married young, not out of impulse, but out of love that felt steady, rooted. Her husband was gentle, the kind of man who whispered hope into dim places. And when he died suddenly, before they could build anything beyond a handful of dreams, the world around her shifted like sand slipping from beneath her feet. At the funeral, her father-in-law held her hands. His grip was firm. His eyes were wet. "You're still family," he said. "We'll take care of you." A house was promised. A small inheritance. A future where she wouldn't be alone. She believed him. She wanted to believe him. Days stretched into months. Months softened into years. And slowly, quietly, the promises faded like ink left in the sun. Phone calls she once received in minutes turned into hours. Then days. Then never. When she did manage to sit with them, the father-in-law cleared his throat, looked away, and said the words that had become a script. "Now may not be the right time. Let's revisit it later. We're sorting things out." But later became a polite wall. A shield. A way of keeping her waiting without ever intending to fulfill a thing. In her gut, Elena felt it. She wasn't family anymore, she was a responsibility they hoped would quietly disappear. One evening, as she reached their home unannounced, she heard the whispers through the thin crack of the kitchen door. "She's bad luck. She's not our problem. Just give it time. She'll move on." And right then, the truth hit her like cold water. They never planned to honor anything. They weren't waiting for the right time, they were waiting for her to give up. That night, she sat alone on her small balcony, holding the documents her husband once tucked away, contracts, messages, and promises written in the father-in-law's own hand. She ran her fingers along the signatures, trembling. For the first time in years, she understood something sacred. Silence would cost her everything. But courage, even trembling, fragile courage, could change everything. So she called her father-in-law and asked to meet. Neutral ground. Public space. A small table beneath the hum of a cafe light. He arrived with the air of a man assuming she would beg. But Elena didn't come to plead. She came to reveal. She laid the papers on the table, the proof of every promise. His own words staring back at him like a mirror he'd avoided for too long. In that moment, his face changed. Not in anger, but in the quiet collapse of a man caught by truth. "Elena," he whispered, voice cracking. "I failed you." And for the first time in years, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't forgotten. She wasn't an afterthought. She was a person wronged, and now recognized. The inheritance was restored. The home was given. But even more than these things, her dignity was returned. Elena walked away not as a burden, not as an abandoned promise, but as a woman whose courage pulled truth into the light. A woman God never forgot even when people did. And her story, though she didn't know it then, was an echo of another woman's story. A woman from ancient pages who was promised something and was denied it. Who was overlooked, silenced, dismissed, and who stepped forward with courage that changed a lineage. Her name was Tamar. And Elena's story was just the doorway to hers. Part 2: Tamar's story. Long before Elena ever took her trembling step toward truth, there was another woman, hidden in the shadows of ancient pages, who walked the same road of broken promises. Her name was Tamar. She entered Judah's family with hope in her eyes and honor in her footsteps. She came not as a burden but as a bridge, a young woman ready to build a future with the son she married. But her husband died. And suddenly, Tamar stood in a world that didn't give widows room to breathe, let alone room to belong. Judah, her father-in-law, made her a promise. A simple vow wrapped in the language of protection. When my youngest son is grown, he will take you as his wife. In that culture, it meant security, stability, a future, a place at the table. So Tamar waited. Not for weeks or months, but for years. She waited with the obedience of someone who trusted. She waited with the loyalty of someone who still hoped. She waited with the ache of someone who believed promises meant something. But Judah's fear grew louder than his integrity. He told her to go home, to stay hidden, to remain out of sight until the right time came. But the right time never came. Tamar watched the boy grow into a man and realized the promise had already died. Judah had no intention of fulfilling it. Just like Elena, she was no longer seen as family but as an inconvenient reminder of everything they wished to forget. And yet, this is where Tamar's courage becomes sacred. She didn't seek revenge. She didn't curse God. She didn't collapse under the weight of neglect. She stepped into a bold, risky act to claim the justice she was owed. She covered her face, sat at a crossroads, and confronted Judah without him realizing it was her. He gave her his seal, his cord, and his staff, the ancient equivalent of placing his signature, ID, and authority into her hands. The very man who withheld her future became the one who unknowingly restored it. When the truth surfaced, when Judah saw the evidence she carried his very own seal, something inside him broke open. He didn't rage. He didn't deny. He didn't hide behind pride. He said the words that shook the generations. She is more righteous than I. A sentence that healed what silence had wounded. A confession that restored her honor. A moment that revealed the justice of God in the hands of a forgotten woman. And from that moment, Tamar's story turned. What began in loss bloomed into legacy. She became the mother of Perez, and from her line came kings, prophets, and centuries later, Jesus himself. A forgotten widow became part of the Messiah's story. A broken promise became the birthplace of redemption. A woman the world tried to sideline became a woman God wrote into eternity. Just like Elena, Tamar was never overlooked by heaven. Never abandoned. Never invisible. God saw her. God honored her courage. God redeemed her story in a way no one could have imagined. Because the God of Tamar is still the God of every woman who has ever been promised something and denied it, who has ever waited in silence. Every heart that rises with trembling bravery and walks toward justice. Her story is not ancient, it is alive. Echoing through Elena. And through every life God refuses to let slip into the shadows. And maybe you've been there too. Carrying the weight of something you never asked for. Waiting in a place you didn't choose. Hoping for a promise that feels like it's taking too long. But even there, in the quiet, in the ache, in the waiting, God is already working in ways you cannot see. He has not forgotten you. He has not looked away. And He never will. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Mustard Seed Stories, where every week, we share real stories of pain, healing, and grace.